While Helldivers 2 fans celebrated the reversal of Sony's decision to require a PSN account to play the game on PC moving forward, this saga is far from over, and Sony continues to lurch forward with this plan in other ways. Players are finding they cannot buy Ghost of Tsushima's upcoming PC release, and Steam is actually refunding early purchases of the game due to Sony's PSN requirement, which again is impossible in those regions where you cannot make such an account. Sony has not officially commented on this, but it's clear nothing about this is an error. The idea was that Sony was going to require PSN accounts for its online games going forward, but in this case there was the idea that since only one portion of Tsushima, an optional multiplayer mode, was online, that the single-player game could still be played. That is apparently not the case. Here's the message Steam users are receiving alongside their refunds. You are receiving a refund for a game you pre-purchased, Ghost of Tsushima. The publisher of this game is now requiring a secondary account to play portions of this game, and this account cannot be created from your country. So, it appears that the only Sony games on PC you will not need to make a PSN account for are ones without any online component whatsoever, unless of course Sony changes their mind on that. It is very clear they are losing sales from this, but it seems like a trade they're willing to make. Sony also could have issued refunds for Helldivers 2 regions that couldn't have PSN accounts, but that would have meant straight up taking away a game players have already invested dozens or hundreds of hours into. It's impossible to overstate just how poorly Sony has handled this entire concept, both with Helldivers 2, but now with a total lack of communication about the Ghost of Tsushima situation. While no, it is not uncommon for publishers to have players create accounts to play their games, we are now in two situations where Sony has somehow made this relatively straightforward process a confusing nightmare for many players. I don't think they will change their mind on Helldivers 2. The voices were too loud on that matter. Though Sony needs to present some coherent messaging on this, and talk about how other present or future games are going to handle this, if they are going to keep pushing this PSN linking idea. Did you know that when a third-party publisher puts a game on the PlayStation Store, Sony takes a 30% cut of all the games being sold there? Yeah, this is how Sony makes most of its profits, not by selling consoles, but by selling PS Plus subscriptions and getting a cut from each game being sold there. Now, this is the interesting part. Sony is planning to bring more and more games to PC. The problem is that these games are coming to the Steam platform, which also takes a 30% cut from each game. Sony doesn't like that. They did the math, and it's more profitable for them to delist games from Steam in countries that don't support PSN. Do not be surprised if, in the upcoming months, all PlayStation exclusive games disappear from Steam. I know, shocking. I'm predicting that Sony will bring their own PlayStation launcher on PC very, very soon. This means that if you want to play any Sony-owned title, you'll need a PSN account and a PlayStation launcher. Look, I get it. It sucks for consumers, but it makes complete sense from a business perspective. As I said, Sony did the math, and there are tens of millions of dollars that they are going to save if they go ahead with this. But what about the countries that don't support PSN? If you did a bit of research, you'd learn that it's not Sony or the developer who wants to region-lock specific games and services. This also applies to other media like movies. It's due to different countries' laws and taxes, not because of a conspiracy. Countries make it difficult for companies to operate seamlessly. Developers must submit their content to each country separately, because that's what the specific country laws require. PSN isn't perfect, but don't blame Sony, Microsoft, or other companies for making things more complicated for customers. Blame the countries.
Pilot, are you all right?
My luck, this place is going to turn itself inside out.
Or upside down, considering the circumstances.